Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 200 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. It's hard to believe. I'm already at episode 200. I love it. I'm super excited about that. And I'm also excited that you're here. And we're continuing just to get better and better together. Now, I feel like I'm growing with each episode, and I hope that you feel that you are as well. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, I've talked some about the benefits of my meditation practice. Now, there are so many, but it can especially help with your thoughts. Now, during a meditation this last week, I had a guided meditation, and Jeff was the guide. So for this meditation, he was talking about allowing noises and sounds to just be part of your experience without feeling the need to respond. Just allowing that those sounds are part of the experience, and there isn't anything I have to do with it except just let it be there without judgment. Now, I've gotten pretty good at that, and this meditation started off so well. I wasn't thinking, I was just being, and then I got so lost in my thoughts that it felt like the meditation lasted about 2 minutes. And that can be a good thing if you're lost in the meditation, but it's not so great if you're just lost in thought. Well, I got lost in thought after thought. Now, you're supposed to have those thoughts. It's okay to do that. But then you want to catch it and come back to the meditation practice. And that happens a lot. And I don't beat myself up because I always benefit in some way when I meditate, even if it's not perfect, which it rarely is. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes my thoughts run away and I'm lost in them. Well, that's what happened this time. They completely ran away and I got lost in them. But it got me thinking how often we live inside our mind, how often we're lost in thought. And are those thoughts pleasant? Is our mind a pleasant place to be? Because we hang out there a lot. So if we had to open our mind for all the world to see, like maybe we turned our thoughts into a movie, what kind of movie would it be? Would it be a horror film? Maybe it would be the sequel to Mean Girls. Maybe it would be a porn. I don't know. Think about it for a minute, though. If you had to turn your true, deep down thoughts into a movie, would that be terrifying? And I'm just going to say quickly, yes, for 100% of us, it would be terrifying. My goal in this episode is not for you to think you're weird if you have crazy thoughts. We all do. My goal is for us to be aware of our thoughts and how they're shaping our life. Now, I literally caught myself during this meditation worrying about a live edge bar top I'm designing for a client, and how the guy that I used to work with is no longer at Woodland Tree, and wondering if the piece was going to be a mess because he's gone. I had all these images of the ways in which it could turn out terribly, like if they used a shiny epoxy that was super thick, or they didn't cut the end right so it looked weird at the edge. All of this during my beautiful meditation about allowing sound as part of my experience. Now, I'm normally pretty good at catching those thoughts and jumping back into the meditation. But I guess this was really weighing on me because it took over. And before I knew it, Jeff was closing the meditation. I literally laughed because I was gone when he ended that meditation. I was so lost in my thoughts, I actually forgot I was meditating, completely lost with no awareness of what was going on around me. But we do this a lot, don't we? Have you ever driven to work or somewhere you go regularly, and when you get there, you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how I got here. I've just been completely lost in my head. But we create all these thoughts in our head, and maybe we have imaginary conversations with people even, and boy, do we let them have it. Or we have fantasies. We fantasize about vacations or people, whatever your thing is. We get so lost in it. But are we able to catch it? And are we aware of what is influencing those thoughts? I know for me, I'm heavily influenced by what I'm reading or watching. And I know this, so I'm pretty careful about what I allow in. Here's the thing. If our thoughts control our feelings and our feelings control our actions, then our thoughts literally are the reason our life is the way it is, good and bad. We're heavily influenced by what we allow in. What is it that's influencing your thoughts? Maybe it's your peer group and you spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about what they have on their mind. Or maybe you spend time talking about other people. Maybe it's your church and you spend a lot of time thinking about God and heaven or sin, or maybe judging yourself or others. Maybe it's your work and you spend a lot of time thinking about that. Whatever it is, thoughts are energy. I mean, we're energy beings. Study after study shows that our thoughts, they affect things outside of us. They do actually create our reality. The placebo effect can tell us all we need to know about that. I mean, studies have shown that a placebo can have similar effectiveness to the actual medication. Our brain is so powerful, it can actually influence our body to heal itself. If our brain has that power, what else can it do? Now, maybe your thoughts lean towards beating yourself up. I know for me, I have to catch myself because if I'm having a bad hair day or bad skin day, or I've not followed my nutrition plan perfectly, or maybe I haven't been doing enough for my business, I can be pretty hard on myself. So start paying attention and listening to the way you think about yourself. And then notice how that correlates with how you act or how you treat yourself and the actions that you take. I mean, if you rolled all the thoughts you have about yourself and showed them to another person, would they think you liked the person that you were thinking those thoughts about? I mean, if your thoughts about yourself were a movie, would you be the villain or the star of the show? It's good to be aware of that. You know why? Well, just think about that example. We've probably all heard this by now, but that example of when you decide you're going to buy a new car, okay? And all of a sudden, you start seeing that car everywhere. You cannot even believe how many times you're seeing it everywhere. Now, those cars, they were always there. You just didn't notice them. And now that your thoughts are turned towards that specific car, you've started noticing them. Well, what does that have to do with the thoughts about yourself? Well, in the same way, if you're constantly thinking negatively about yourself, well, then what do you think you're going to notice? Of course, you're going to notice the negative aspects. Those are going to show up. That's what you'll notice. But what if you started your day with positive thoughts about yourself? Maybe you focused on your favorite trait. For me, okay, I like my lips. I also just got a new haircut that I absolutely love. I love where I am with my health and nutrition. I'm proud of myself for that. Once you get started thinking about things, you can pretty much get rolling. And then it gets easier and easier. And even though nothing has changed, you kind of have this new bounce in your step. And people are like, what are you up to? All because you started noticing some things about yourself that you actually like. You start thinking about them, dressing for them. This practice alone can change your life. I mean, recognizing the subtle thoughts you have about yourself and how they affect you. Now, we know from those placebo studies, if your thoughts can heal you, then they can also harm you. The most important thing we can do, and if you're listening in current time, we're about to start a new year. 2022 is coming up. I love a new start, a fresh start. Now, usually people in New Year's do New Year's resolutions. And in episode 201 coming up next week, I talk a lot about how I think we should handle New Year's resolutions because I know you're just dying to know. But I would challenge you to also this year, this new year, get really familiar with the voice in your head, the one that narrates your day, the one that judges you. Maybe it judges other people. Start noticing what that voice is telling you and push back if you don't like what it's saying because you're in control of it, unless you're living on autopilot and you want to stay there, which I don't believe to be true because you wouldn't be listening to me if you were. So my challenge to you for this end of year episode, but it's relevant whenever you're listening. My challenge to you is to push back on the thoughts that aren't serving you. Create a movie you'd want to watch where you're the star and you're fabulous because you are. And once you get your thoughts there, your actions must follow. And before long, people are going to be wanting to know what you're doing because that pep in your step, that's contagious in a good way. And you don't need anything else to change. You don't need a new job, a new partner, a new car, a new haircut even. Nothing like that needs to change for you to feel good about you and where you're going. It all starts in your head. So what are 3 things you could love about yourself? And you might think, oh, I don't have anything I love about myself. But what could you love about yourself? What are 3 things? Write them down. Put them in your phone. Write them on your mirror. Journal about them every morning. Just 3 things. I listed a few of mine earlier. But start focusing on those 3 things and then wait for what happens. I think you'll like it. Share this episode with 3 people you love. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.